Guys, what's going on? It is Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Today, I have one of the best, most knowledgeable YouTubers and players in the game, Hell Hades, back here on the channel, man. We had an hour and 10-minute video, and you just absolutely unloaded knowledge on me like I cannot believe about this game. I felt like that conversation, that video, and I will link it below for you guys, was definitely the best video I've ever put out on my Raid Shadow Legends YouTube channel. It was just jam-packed full of information, and I have you back again today. Hell Hades, what's up, my man? How you doing?
Hey Ash, thanks for having me back, mate. I actually saw one of your videos recently where you said, "Oh yeah, Hell Hades tore me apart about my Great Hall."
Yeah,
and I was thinking,
yeah.
I didn't mean to, but it's just like, you know, when you're in a flow and you're kind of talking about stuff. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it last time, and I'm really pleased to be back again, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we're actually on my main channel. So thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. We're going to be talking today about kind of picking up. I wanted to make content. So you're such a high-end player. You know every intricacy of this game. But at the same time, I'm imagining most of my viewers haven't even picked up the game. They have picked up the game and they're new at the game. So I figured, how can we kind of put out content that's just not, oh, top 10 tips for new players, make it a little bit more constructive, something that will carry them beyond just week one and day one, but also into their first few months playing the game and give them some directions. So we're actually going to talk about priorities when you start an account and in the first few months. So, you know, what's the first thing that should be on players' minds when they pick up Raid Shadow Legends?
Yeah, it's a really, really interesting topic. And I mean, I must admit, I get so many messages saying, what should I do next? You know, I'm at this stage of the game. Help me out. Where can I get to? And I pretty much, there's almost like an order of things that you need to do to progress in this game as quickly as possible, and kind of move yourself into that kind of mid-game area where you have a lot more fun, if I'm honest.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
You know,
I actually
it's like
didn't
you've
like
got
the game
champions to work with. Yeah, exactly. It's like a really grind to start with, and you kind of need to get past that to get into the element, which is actually, for me, it's fun. It's strategy. It's thinking about what champions to use for this challenge. So there's a couple of things to do right at the start. The absolute first thing to do is to pick Cale as your starter hero.
Yes.
And it sounds crazy, but it's like, he's so much better for the kind of mid to end game than any of the other starter heroes. He's relevant right the way through. So that's like number one priority, and you can get by with the other starter heroes, and there's a good chance you will pull Cale at some stage, but it just makes things much easier if you've got that kind of really great start, and Cale is the great start.
Yeah, and absolutely. And Cale, you know, just kind of piggybacking on that, Cale is unbelievable. He's really, you know, the only non-void rare, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's the only non-void rare probably who's actually viable, like end game-ish. Do you think, or am I missing something?
I mean, perhaps there's others that might sort of step in.
Apothecary.
I mean, Apothecary, and there's a couple perhaps like War Maiden that can do bits of the game, but Cale is like the all-rounder. He can literally go into any dungeon and still be relevant. So
yeah, and I like that, because when you start out, right, you want to invest on somebody who's not just going to help you, and then you're going to have to, you know, throw it all away when you get to mid game or end game. You know, so if you invest in Cale, he'll bring you all the way till the end of the game.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely right. So that's kind of like absolute number one, rule one. If you can do it, if you're only just starting and you're seeing this now and you got a chance just to go back and reset, I would actually reset if I'm 3 or 4 days in and pick Cale and then start again. That's pretty much what I would do. And my son plays this game. He's 18 and he's like after tips and stuff. And I'm like, look, this is how you start. This is what you do next. And we kind of just chat through it, really. So once you've got Cale, you kind of want to focus your time and energy on getting him up to 6-star as quickly as you can. And that feels like a massive, massive hurdle to do it. But it is like number one priority in this game is to get one of your champions up to 6-star. And there's a number of things that kind of come in along the way, but that has to be your focus. And I get asked by so many people, you know, I can't get past Spider 10, or I can't get past Dragon 6 or whatever it is, and they show me their roster and I'm like, yeah, but that's not where your time should be right now. I know it's the exciting part of the game that you want to get to, but you can't get there until you've got the champions advance to the higher levels.
Yeah, no, totally makes sense. I agree. So you're not spending your time in the dungeons, you're spending your time on campaigns. Where are you spending your time?
So pretty much. So there'll be little sort of side missions and quests, and you can't ignore those because actually you get some nice rewards. And you want to be kind of rolling shards early and that type of thing to try and just build a bit of a champion pool. But ultimately, when it comes back to, okay, I'm kind of stuck on a mission or I'm stuck on a quest, you just want to get yourself straight back into the campaign, and you want to be farming the campaign as an advanced level as you can, and just building food, building your starter champion or whoever the best pool is that you've got that's perhaps might replace them. But your aim is to get somebody that is your best possible campaign farmer. And normally it'll be your starter hero unless you pulled someone better than that.
So when you're building a team around Cale, right? So this is a question that I get a lot. I'm sure you get way more, right? So what type of team for campaign farming for the first few months of the game are you trying to complement Cale with? Do you need a support, or do you just go all DPS if you have it? How important is like a balanced team as it is in the end game, in the beginning and mid game?
Yeah, it's nowhere near as important actually. So you should be able to blitz your way through campaign at least in like through kind of easy and normal just by having two heavy damage dealers. Providing if you can get them in some lifesteal gear, it makes it tons easier, like tons easier. But if you had two of the starter heroes like an Aethel and a Cale, for example, then they can pretty much blitz the content right the way through, with the odd kind of level where it's tough because affinity changes, and that's quite hard to deal with.
Yeah.
But what I find is,
yeah, go ahead,
you get to that kind of stopping point where you're like, I can't get through this one because of affinity. It's almost like a time to just reset and say, fine, I'll farm one level back and I'll just max this guy out to his kind of next cap, and I'll max out a bit more food, and I'll just kind of build myself to get ready to get closer to getting to that 6-star. And that's your goal. It's like get to the 6-star because the game becomes tons easier when you've got one.
Yeah, so when you say, you actually kind of hit on my next question a little bit there, but my question was going to be, where should you farm, right? And this might be an obvious question to some people, but should you just keep pushing to all the way that you can push, and then you get to a level you cannot beat, and then go to the very level before? Or do you go with, how much do you factor in time as well? Should you go a few stages back to where you can breeze through easily and kind of speed farm? Or, what is the best method of actually just farming to level people up?
Yeah, so I think if I'm looking at somebody who's completely free to play, then what you want to do is you want to maximize your energy against your experience that you're going to gain. So with that in mind, you want to go as far into the game as you can and farm as far as you can go. So even if that means it's going to be a minute run, I think it's a better use of your resource to go as far as you can than to kind of skip back and just do quick runs. But the only kind of caveat I'd say to that is you really do want some speed gear, and you really do want some lifesteal gear as soon as you can get it. So, you might actually find that you're stuck on, let's say, I don't know, stage 10 of campaign, and you might decide to go back to stage 8 because you can farm lifesteal gear whilst you're just kind of burning through food. And that's actually a really good use of your time as well. Don't think that you have to go to Dragon to get yourself speed gear and lifesteal gear. Early game, you will get it much quicker in campaign, and it won't be much different in terms of quality.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So in a perfect world here, you would have a team built around Cale, damage dealers preferably, whatever you have, your best champions, and you would have them all in lifesteal gear. And is that correct?
Yeah, well, definitely the two kind of heavy hitters that perhaps might take more damage. The heavy hitters generally are built in a way that the AI focuses them for damage. So if you had a support that was in just speed gear or just healing gear, as in kind of high HP and speed, then they probably won't get targeted anyway. So the support characters, you don't necessarily need to build into lifesteal, but definitely your damage dealers, if you can get them in lifesteal gear early, it makes everything much easier.
Okay. Yeah, that's great advice. So let me ask you another question about the teams and the champions you're using. Would you recommend people focus with one main team? We're talking still like the first month or two here they're playing. Should they just focus on just 4 or 5 champions and that's it? or should they have like an A team and a B team, and a little bit like what should their focus be? How much is too much in terms of champion diversity?
Yeah. So for me, it's put all of your energy and time into. You probably want four champions that are kind of got solid levels. But once you've got solid levels, and what I'm talking about here is you might get three champions up to level 40, and then you might just have your one champion that you're trying to push up to level 60. It's hard to do, and you actually get distracted as you get pulls come in, you get new champions come in, you think, oh, maybe I'll just level them up to 30, or no, maybe I'll level them up to 40. And what that is it's a distraction, and
Yeah.
it's not a welcome one, because actually you want to just push on that one champion up to 60. Once you've got one on 60, you know what, you breeze through campaign, and then you get everyone else to 60 10 times faster. So it's so important to do it. But I also know, because I played the game from scratch myself, and I've also done kind of second accounts where I've just kind of been messing around. It's easy to be distracted by new champions that come into your champion pool.
Mm-hmm. It is.
And
I can second that.
yeah, definitely.
So,
And it feels like actually you get a new one. You're like, oh, maybe I'll just get him up to 40. Well, really, are you actually going to use him? And is he going to be better than the one that you were doing before? Because if he is, fine, take that one up to 60, but don't get completely distracted from what should be your first kind of milestone in the game, and that's getting a 6-star champion.
Okay, totally agree too. And the importance of 6-star isn't just the stats, which are amazing, but also you can have the amulet and the banner on them as well, and which is so incredibly valuable, right?
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, so it starts to just build up your stats right across the board,
Mm-hmm.
and as I say, it just makes the game much easier. So you've then got that one champion that can beat a campaign mission by themselves, which means that all of the other slots can just be food champions, which makes your other champions level up quicker. So it just makes sense right across the board.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. So what about artifacts? What about the gear that you're putting on these champions? Do you recommend people, especially early on, you're obviously not, you don't have the best gear. You don't have you might have end game champions. You don't have end game gear, right? You don't have access to it early on. So because of that, would you recommend people, level it up all the way to level 16 if it's a piece of gear that's really like a crit rate gloves or something like that really scales well? Or do you recommend people just try to, get everything to 12 first and then kind of reevaluate and go from there?
Yeah, it's a great point. So I ran an alt account for a while, and I got myself up to a couple of 6-stars and stuff. So what I did was I didn't level any gear up beyond level 8 for like the first week and a half or so. And I was just kind of like, is this gear actually any good? And you actually get, I think now as a starter player, you get better opportunity for good gear than what you did when I started. So there's kind of player and raid have kind of put out some better abilities for starter guys to get items, which is good. So you actually get a couple of 5-star pieces, which might be worth rolling the way through to level 16 at some stage. But silver is just hard to get when you're early on in this game. You don't want to roll anything past level 12, that's for sure. Nothing past level 12, probably until you're fighting your way into some of the dungeon content.
Okay, that's really good advice. And if you want silver, by the way, guys, perfect time to say you can download the game using the link in the description below. You will get a bonus of a lot of silver. I think it's 100,000, but see the screenshot for all the information. You'll get a bonus champion, starting champion as well, to help you out alongside Cale, hopefully. Next question for you is about, okay, so we talked about the gear, we talked about artifacts, we talked about the champions, your team. But what about second priority? We talked about campaign farming. There's arena, which is still useful because it helps you out in the Great Hall helps you out in every aspect of the game. And there's also masteries, Minotaur's Labyrinth. What would you recommend people make as kind of their secondary focus?
Yeah, actually, really good question as well. So one thing I should say is arena. You need to get involved in arena as early as you can, even if you're running with a really kind of mediocre team. Because just getting arena tokens every day, using your free tokens every day, picking fights that look easy will get you advancements, like you say, which actually stick with you for your entire length of the game that you play. So those advancements in the Great Hall are huge. In terms of a starter champion, all of a sudden you're getting extra percentages on all of your stats if you start to get some arena tokens coming in. So do it from the off almost. It's probably will take you a couple of days to get champions to a level that you can actually win any battles in the arena.
Mhm.
But as soon as you've got them, pick your fights, start to understand some of the champions you're up against. A real simple one is just to look at your levels versus their levels in the early game, because that's pretty much what will win the fight. So, if you've got a team of 3 level 20 champions and 1 level 40, and you're up against a team of 4 level 20s, the chances are you win that fight just because of levels. So yeah, absolutely, get into Great Hall as soon as you can. In terms of things like masteries, so for me, it's get a 6-star champion, then it is get their masteries, and then it is start to look for gear. And in fact, probably the better way to do it is to get yourself a team of 6-star champions, then focus masteries, then focus gear.
Okay.
But what you can do is kind of go in and just get like the first 2 tiers worth of masteries
Yeah, I was
very
gonna say,
quickly.
yeah.
You don't need to go all the way. You can just get yourself some early level masteries. It actually gives you quite a boost to just go and do maybe like 10 runs of Minotaur, get yourself all of your green mastery scrolls, and then come back out again and get yourself leveling up again.
Yeah, you can either. It doesn't take long to get that, especially like on your attack, like on your Cale. I think that you should definitely go in, get that 5% crit rate, that 10% crit damage bonus on the attack tree. It doesn't take that much time, or on accuracy as well. So okay, what about the back to arena? We talked about this. If you guys want, again, that other video will be linked below, where we go way more kind of, I don't know, I guess closer to the end game with the advice. But starting out, you said in the first video, and you really hammered this point home to me when we talk about the arena, right? Is you really need to go with accuracy in your Great Hall, right? So, and how important it really is in this game. Now, even if you're a brand new player, are you still prioritizing accuracy?
So I think you're going to have a starter champion that will, if you just use your starter hero, he's going to be blue affinity. So what you can do is you can get yourself kind of level 1 Great Hall bonuses almost across the board. So what I would do is I would forget resistance for now. That's end game requirement, and you don't need that yet. But I would definitely do accuracy. I would do crit damage. I would do HP percentage, and I would do defense percentage. So those 4, if you can get yourself a kind of level 1 or level 2 across the board in those 4, that's going to set you up for easier arena battles. It will set you up for easier fights in the campaign, clan boss. Everywhere in the game will become a bit easier for getting those early levels. And then once you've got kind of level 2, then I would say start to focus more energy on accuracy, because it will be harder to get when you're early game in items than it is when you get kind of later in the game.
Yeah, I totally agree. That makes perfect sense. What about the in terms of other things to focus on in the game with where am I going with this question? with the fusions. Okay, so fusions are something that are definitely more towards the end game, right? But this is just a question that I have: is it really worth it going for these fusions in terms of do you spend any special time and effort actually trying to get these done, or is it something that you kind of just work on the side, or how do you feel about fusions?
So there's one fusion which is fantastic for any player who's playing this game, and that is Razin Scarhide, and he's a permanent fusion. So I would get yourself familiar with the champions that go into that fusion, and if you get any of those pools, put them in your vault, keep hold of them, make sure you don't use them as food. One of the mistakes that people make in this game early is they use a lot of champions as food, which they didn't realize they should have kept. And it's a classic mistake. People are trying to get to that 6-star as fast as they can, which I'm all for that. But that does not mean you start to use champions that you want to keep as food. And yeah, those Razin Scarhide fusion champions, just keep hold of them. Don't necessarily work on them yet, because you're going to be a long way from being able to fuse him. Mm-hmm. He's probably maybe a couple of months into the game before you're going to be lucky enough to get all of those champions. But just keep them to the side. Know that you need to keep hold of them. Some of the other fusions that come along, like the special event fusions, I mean, you really need to be playing for several months before you're going to be in a position that you can really make that work, or you're going to be investing your own cash into the game to make that work. So it depends how you want to play, really. It depends what sort of player you are, or if you put disposable income into this game or not. But yeah, because they're tough. They're really tough to get.
Yeah, because I wasn't able to get Torment. And I felt like everybody in the game got Tormund. I didn't, it's like, especially
Yeah.
playing Arena, he's
Yeah,
everywhere.
definitely.
It's like, what? How
Yeah.
does everybody have him? Like, and I get it, but okay, but that's a great answer. I actually thought of the question I was going to ask previous to that, which was affinities, right? So we talk about the Great Hall. We talk about you can start with your Magic affinity because that's your starting champion anyway. Now, in terms of building a team, it's weird because this game in one area in the Great Hall, you would kind of be led to believe, oh, I'll just make an all Magic team, then I'll just focus on that tier in the Great Hall. But of course, there are also affinity matchups, right? You have to be aware of as well. In your mind, is it better to have a team with a lot of champions of the same affinity, or have an ideal in a perfect world have all void or all of different affinities on the team?
So I think it's not a bad idea to have a couple of the same affinity, which you focus on in your Great Hall, but then you probably would hope to get maybe a Void champion or a couple of reverse affinity champions to kind of balance the team out. So that if you think about it, so for Arena if you look at Arena, basically you're choosing your opponent, so you can choose the affinity you want to fight against. That's massive. So if you actually chose all the same affinity team, you can choose your opponents that kind of suit your style. But it doesn't work the same with your Arena defense. And also, it won't work the same in places like Campaign or Dragons or some of the other content where the affinity changes depending on what level you go to. So you need a balance. You at least need to have a couple of strong, almost like the negative affinity to your strong team, so that you can get yourself through some content, which would be really tough to do.
Yeah, I love that the Arena. I have my Arena team of 3 out of the 4 are Magic affinity, and it's great because whenever I see Spirit, I'm like, okay, sign me up. And then
Yeah.
otherwise, if I see Magic, I'm like, okay, I'll stay away, and it's just easy,
Yeah,
because like you said, you can pick
definitely.
your affinity matchups. I guess my last question for you in this video, which has been again like full of knowledge. Thank you so much for your time, Hello Hades. Is about gems, right? And I want to ask this because even free-to-play players get a lot of gems. There's a lot of quests. There's a lot of like free gem events on Christmas and New Year's and every holiday that comes around. So you get gems no matter what. What in terms of what's the best usage for your gems? Is it just energy, or and if so, what would be the second best?
Yeah, so energy is a great use for your gems. That enables you to level your champions quicker. It enables you to stay in the game. But early game, you get a lot of energy as well. So, you'll probably get to a stage where you're like level 25, 30, and you're thinking, I'm never going to run out of energy.
It always happens.
Unfortunately, guys, you do. You do. And,
Yep.
and you need those gems after that. But for me, early game players, and again, I didn't have this option when I started out, but it's a new kind of thing that's come in over the last couple of months. But you can actually buy with gems a full set of masteries for a champion. And if you've got your first, let's say your first or second level 6 champion, and you're able to go and get all of the masteries for the full set for 800 gems, I think that's actually a pretty good investment.
Me too.
Because you would use a lot of energy to get those masteries. So for me, that's a really good investment. The only other one that I'd say is also equally as good if you're not going to use it for energy, is to try your luck with a shard pack, which is the kind of 11 blue shards. I think it's 990 odd, 900 gems, which again is good. If you're short on champions for champion pool, then you might find that you pull yourself a couple of decent epics. You may even pull a legendary, but it will really kind of help your account grow. But if you're going to do that, again, kind of use your brain with it, because there's events that run through this game. I was
going to say, yeah.
And you kind of don't want to just pull them just on a Monday because you're feeling a bit bored. Wait until there's a summon event, or wait until there's a champion chase event, because you'll get extra rewards for pulling those shards at that time. So it's the main thing about this game is use your resources effectively, efficiently, and try and use them so they coincide with events that Plarium and Raid are running, because then you'll get double bubble. You'll get the rewards that you actually want, the thing you're trying to focus on, but you'll also get these kind of side level rewards, which just help grow your account. And just touching on one of the kind of types of rewards you'll get, because we should put it into this video. You're going to get books. You're going to get books, or tomes they're called in the game, early on for your champions. You're going to get rare books, epic books, and legendary books as you get through different levels of content. The biggest mistake anybody makes in this game is that they use legendary books on rare champions. You can't get them back. You use epic
Oof.
books right the way through.
It
You
hurts
just
me
want to
just hearing you
max
say
someone
it.
up, you know,
Yeah.
and you're like, wow. You look back, you think, oh wow, I really need those books now. I pulled a legendary and I've got no legendary books, and they are the hardest thing to get in this game.
Yeah.
So, you know, just you have to be really patient. You have to just kind of bide your time. Booking a champion is not the be all and end all. Take your time. Make sure it's a champion that you definitely are going to use for longer term. Look at guides on these champions. See if they rate relatively well on tier lists. You know, ask a couple of people in Discord, is this someone that I should actually invest in? Because what you don't want to do is throw your books. They're really precious in this game. Throw your books on somebody and then realize that it's just going to sit in your vault for the next 4 months, and actually you're not going to be able to book the person you really want to use. So yeah, massive kind of watch out, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, I cringe just hearing the legendary on a rare. Especially how valuable, like you said, those legendary tomes are. Very, very valuable.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
man, Hell Hades, again, thank you so much for coming on the channel. Everybody now should check out Hell Hades' YouTube channel. I swear, just so much information, so many great guides. What guide are you working on next? Or not to put you on the spot, but
Yeah, no, it's fine. So I'm doing a guide on. So I'm kind of extending my clan boss series. At the moment, I've got six episodes that are out there. I'm kind of extending that onto healers in the game that are going to help on clan boss, which I'm really excited to do. And the next kind of big project that I'm doing is around full tier list. So I'm going to do a full epic tier list and a full legendary tier list, but kind of broken down by each of the different types of place in the game, rather than just a kind of overall, yeah, I think he's good, I think he's bad. It's going to be, actually, this is where they're good and this is where you want to use them. So it's a bit of a project. It's going to take me a while to get all the info together, but I'm quite excited to do it.
I'm excited to watch it, man. That sounds amazing, because you said that's the problem with tier lists right now. It's just that, sure, you can go on a website and see a tier list and see who's good and see who's bad, but it doesn't tell the whole picture, right? You know, because sometimes plenty of champions are specialists and whatnot. So really looking forward to that content. I really just, a shout out, I really loved your Fire Knight guide the other day.
Thanks,
the 4
man.
ways to, because I have not cleared Fire Knight's the only one that I haven't cleared the level 20 on, so I'm gonna start kind of building a team for that. So guys, again, huge shout out to Hell Hades. Thank you so much for joining me, man.
Cheers, Ash. Really appreciate it. Appreciate having me on again, and yeah, hopefully that's helped everyone who's watching the channel. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, man. Guys, go ahead and check out his YouTube channel in the links below. And of course, download the game. Thank you so much to Plarium for sponsoring today's video. The download link will be in the description below. Check it out, guys. Check out my second YouTube channel as well. That will be linked below, way below Hades, because his channel is so much better. So make sure you check out his first. But guys, thank you so much for watching. And as always, take care, guys. So thanks again for watching this video, guys. Another huge shout out to Plarium for sponsoring today's video. And if you download the game, guys, I have 3 really amazing giveaways for you guys. If you leave your name and your player ID in the comments below, you will be entered. I will choose 3 random winners, pass along your information to Plarium. So what is the prize? Download the game using the link. You'll get 5 level 1 chickens, 4 level 2 chickens, 3 level 3 chickens, 5 rare skill books, 1 million silver, and 5 energy refills so you can keep farming longer. For those of you who don't know the game yet, have not downloaded the game yet, that's actually a really, really good reward, way better than the download rewards that I'm offering and other people who sponsor this content offer on their channels. So make sure, if you download the game, if you check it out, if you already have the game, make sure you leave your player ID and your player name in the comments. That way you can put your name in the hat to get these rewards. Thanks again so much for watching, guys. I appreciate it, and as always, take care, guys.